Welcome back to Play Piano. Today we are really getting into some of the fundamental chord structures played all around the world through looking at different types of tetrachords. Tetrachords, meaning 4-note chords, are heavily used in jazz and in pop music, and by the end of this episode you'll know all of them. Understanding tetrachords involves your understanding of the triads that we covered back in episode 18. The tetrachords we will be learning about today really just add a note which has already been established in the triads. So let's take a look. The first tetrachord we will look at is the major 7 chord. Here's what it sounds like. Maybe you've heard it before. If you have, I'm not surprised, as all of the chords we will be covering are widely popular. The major 7 chord is made up of a major triad and a major 7th above the root. For example, with C as the bass note, our major triad would be C, E, and G. The major 7th above would be a B. Adding this major 7th above the major triad gives it a more jazzy, elegant feel. And it's notated by writing a short form MAJ7, and sometimes you might even see a triangle with a 7 next to it. The next chord is a 7 chord, which is also referred to as the dominant 7th chord, or a major minor 7 chord. I personally like the last explanation used when teaching this chord because it tells you how to build the chord. It's a major triad on the bottom and a minor 7th above. So above a C major triad, for example, the C, E, G, you would add a minor 7th, so B flat. Here's what the chord sounds like. Do you feel like it is pulling your ear to resolve somewhere? You're not alone. The major minor 7 chord are called dominant 7th chords too, because if you remember your modes from episode 11, you would remember that building a major scale starting and ending on the 5th degree, or dominant, gives you a different mode. Now in that mode, playing the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th of that scale gives you the same chord, the dominant 7th. Next, we have a minor 7 chord. This chord is a more pleasing replacement for the standard minor chord. The 7th adds a color to the chord that sounds more appealing than any minor chord could. Of course, that's a matter of personal opinion. Building a minor 7th chord is simple. Just put the minor 7th above the minor triad. So if we take a C minor triad, C, E flat, and G, just add the minor 7th, B flat, and you're all set. If you find that you're not very quick at finding out the 7th above, that's okay. You just need a little bit more practice with it. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your expectations need to be realistic. Simply watching all the videos in this playlist won't make you an expert unless you give yourself the time to apply the information and let it settle. Okay, let's move on. The next chord is the half diminished 7th. It's also named minor 7 flat 5. It sounds complicated, doesn't it? Well, it's not really. You can look at it in a couple of ways. One, it's a diminished triad, so using C as the root, we have C, E flat, and G flat. The G flat is our flat 5 in the chord name. Then put a minor 7th above, so B flat. That gives us our minor 7. Now, the other way of looking at it is to take your minor 7 chord, so C, E flat, G, and B flat, and flatten the 5th, giving us C, E flat, G flat, and B flat. The half diminished 7th chord is really great for adding dramatic flair to your playing, and it also creates suspense, but it has a saddening tone about it. The next chord is the diminished 7th chord, which, like the half diminished 7th chord, adds a diminished 7th above a diminished triad. Here's what this sounds like. So instead of the half diminished C, E flat, G flat, and B flat, we now have C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat. This sound is more specific and also creates a fair amount of tension in playing. Diminished chords are great for moving in between two diatonic chords. They are typically used only for moving from one chord to another, like swinging from tree to tree on vines. Okay, all the corny analogies aside, there are only 3 tetrachords left: the augmented 7th, the minor major 7th, and the suspended 7 chord. The augmented 7th chord sounds like this, has an augmented triad as its base, so C, E, and G sharp, with a major 7th above. This chord will add tension and suspense anywhere it's used. Just use it sparingly. The minor major 7th is the Dr. Evil chord. It's actually the reverse of the major minor 7 chord. It has a minor triad, so C, E flat, and G, and a major 7th, so B. It is the perfect chord for the maniacal evil villain to lift one eyebrow to, but of course, I might be a little biased with that one. The final chord is the suspended 7th chord. If you remember from our video on the different triad types, the suspended chord did not contain the 3rd. Instead, it suspended the 4th over the bass, where it can later be resolved to the 3rd. Well, the suspended 7th chord takes the suspended triad, so C, F, and G, and adds a minor 7th above it, so B flat. This adds a little jazz element to the suspended triad, and is preferred over the normal suspended triad by most jazz musicians. Okay, I know this has been information overload, but it's important to let it absorb. Take time, make cue cards, test yourself. Sit at the piano for 30 minutes and randomly see if you can build any one of the tetrachords we talked about here. Some of these concepts can take weeks to start getting the hang of, but the worst thing that you can do is to give up on it. Just do a little bit every day and you'll start feeling more confident. Alright, that's all I wish to impart to you in this video. I'll see you in the next one.